Hello everyone, I'm Paul. In today's video, basically I've got an issue with my sawmill. I was working on another video and it came to the point in the video that I needed to use the sawmill, and I went to put the blade on and there's a big issue with it. So the issue that I'm having is I put the blade around on this the drive wheel. Now I came over to the follower wheel and you can see I can't get the blade on. It's just too far over to the right. The blade just basically won't fit. So I'm going to take the blade back off here. And I'm going to set the blade aside and I'll show you what the problem is here. Now, before I went to use or put the blade on, the last time I used the mill, I had changed the belts. I put two new belts, both on each side. And yes, this one is supposed to be loose the way you see it here. Now the problem is with the tensioner and the drive wheel here. This wheel right now I don't have any tension on. I've got the tension off, and basically this wheel should be able to push in and out, and it's seized. It doesn't want to move. So what's happened now is that it's basically at its furthest distance out, and the issue is that it won't go back in, so that it creates a smaller distance between the two wheels. So I can put the blade on, and then when I tension it out, this blade or this wheel should go back and tighten it up. If we come over here where the tensioner is, when I turn the tensioner, I can kind of feel that it doesn't feel right. You can see here how it's starting to go inwards more and more, but it just feels kind of off or kind of stiff. And if we look here behind, you'll see behind on the tensioner here, there's a bunch of springs or washers in here, and then this piece here should slide back and forth, but this piece here I can't move it at all. So what I've tried to do so far is I've taken my mallet here and I've just kind of bumped it to see basically if it would move at all. And also I've used a little bit of lubrication in behind. I sprayed it to see if it's seized up. Now what I'm thinking might have happened here is basically my cover had blown off and we have had a lot of rain. I'm just wondering if some dirt and some rain got washed in behind the wheel and in underneath where the tensioner is, where the parts have to slide back and forth, and that it just happens to seized up. So there's no instructions in the manual about taking this all apart and stuff. So what I'm going to be doing is taking it apart. I'm going to take the wheel off, and there's 4 bolts I can see underneath. And I'm going to loosen that all up to see if I can get behind there and clean that part up. Now, some of you may have had this problem before, so if you had a solution that was easier than what I'm going to do now, because I'm not sure basically what needs to be done, let me know in the comments. So I've got my ratchet here. I'm going to take the wheel off. That's a 5/8 socket. So we're going to pull the wheel off here if we can. I'm not even sure if I need a puller or not. I don't want to lose my washer. Okay, we got the bolt and the washer off. We'll see if the wheel will wiggle out. Nope, probably going to need a puller to get this wheel out of there. Oh, nope, I got it off. I thought I was going to need a puller. You can see here there's lots of how the debris gets in behind here. Like you can even see like this sawdust gets pretty fine, but it gets really sticky and stuff. So anyways, the wheel came off. I want to make sure that I put it back on. So I'm just going to remember that it said the Woodland Mills on the front of it and there's no marking on the back. So I'm going to put the wheel here on the side where it's out of the way. And this is the part here that I'm talking about. It should slide back and forth. I can see there's some Allen keys slots in here, and there's 2 more over here. I'm not going to try and undo that. I'm going to try and undo these 4 bolts here first, see what happens. Actually, I brought a short bar here with me, it'll be easier to use. Now, biggest concern is basically if something shifts out of place more than I want it to, that it may be back a bit of an issue putting it back, but we'll find out. Unless you try things, guys, you'll never learn. So I could be doing this all completely the wrong way, but the only thing I can do is I can see what I'm to see things is by taking it apart. Got the mill starting to slide a little bit here as I push against it. So we'll just crack them all loose here. And we're going to see if this part will move a bit easier. I would actually love to take it up right out of there and then clean it all up, and then hopefully it will just slide along like there. I can see now it still seems to be seized. It's not moving. We'll take this one out here. Just gonna make sure I don't lose anything. I should have a little bucket to throw everything in, but I don't have one, and I don't feel like going to get one. So I'm just going to put it here on the ground and take a bit of a chance. You can see how it's kind of moving around, but it's not sliding. It's going to have to do something with that tensioner. I don't mind to take it apart and clean it though. All right, so I've got that apart. You can see the piece is looser now than it was. I'm going to go behind there. I'm going to see what I can do to take it apart. So if we come behind it, I've got this bolt here, a small one, and I've got the tensioner holding on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here out, this piece here. I'm going to take that bolt that's going to get another socket. Let's see what size it is. Hopefully I've got a socket here that's going to fit. Oh boy, I guessed wrong on that one. There we go. We'll try that one out. Nothing's more fun than taking everything apart. But you know what? Basically, if you work on a lot of stuff, is that a lot of times you do have to take things apart just to get at a small little thing. So, especially if you're doing automotive work, a lot of times you're going to strip about half your car apart just to get at one little part that needs to be replaced. And whether it matters or not, that's a half-inch socket that I'm using there. Just got to be careful because I don't want those washers to fall all over the ground. So I'm just going to leave that there. And I'm going to put this with the rest of the bolts. Put it down here where hopefully I won't drop or kick anything out of place, because if it gets in the dirt I won't find it. And I'm going to be careful taking this apart because it's going to have a bunch of washers on it. No, it doesn't want to let me go. Okay, so I'm going to take this right out. Come around on the other side, you can see I'm trying to figure out what's holding it in place. I think I'm going to have to take this off here. I really didn't want to do it. You can see some of the washers there. Okay, there's the handle out of the way. You can see all the oh, there we go, we got it out. So got the arm out, and inside here is going to be a bunch of washers. You can see how they're going in different directions and such. So I've got to be careful with that because I don't want to play around too much and have to reseat them all. If you can see maybe on this side, I'm not sure if you can see in there, but the washers run from one end to the other. It's basically your creates like a spring action in there. Okay, so we got that apart. I can see now, look how easy that's sliding. So that just made it real complicated. So what's causing the problem? I guess it might be that other piece I just took off with the washers. But you see, if we come here to the front now, that's the action that you want. This should be able to slide. So when you got your wheel here, you bring it in when you put your belt or your band on, rather, your saw blade, and then when you tension it up, this should retract and it should go closer to the wheel will end up closer to the side here, so it applies the appropriate tension on there. So I don't really see a whole lot what's causing the actual issue, other than the fact that it might be my springs or my washers in here. They may be toast, so they might be worn out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another look here in the back. We'll come back here, just look inside. I'm just trying to see, I wish this whole piece would come out, but I think in order to get the piece out, if you come back here to the front, to get that piece out, what will have to happen is that there's these Allen key bolts here. I think what would have to happen is I would have to undo all 4 of them, and then I could slide this piece out, and once I slide that piece out, I'll be able to come back here and I would be able to pull this mechanism out. But I don't see any point in doing that, and the reason why I don't see any point in doing that is because this is sliding really nice and easy. So what I'm going to try and do is, just for a test here, I'm going to try and get those bolts back in. Oh, it's not moving when I have it lined up. I'm holding it with my hand on the back side, and what I'm noticing is that, oh yeah, that's fine, the plates are fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bolts back in, and then I'm going to see if I still have that sliding action now that I've pulled that washer spring, the spring washers out. So let's get these back inside. Now what I've done is I've thrown off the alignment a little bit by moving it, but it's not that bad. They're just a medium, they're not a real fine threaded bolt, they're kind of a medium thread. So they're not that bad to get back in. We're going to put them back in just loosely to start. So my first assumption that this was seized because of the dirt and the rain behind, that's not the case. It's got something else. There's something else that's wrong. So we'll get these guys in here. Now I am wearing gloves. The only reason I put the gloves on basically was initially because to handle the band or the blade. So one cut my hand. I just left them on just now so that, because I had sprayed a lot of lubricant in here to, because I had thought maybe it seized up because of the rain and because of the, you know, this dust or dirt that gets in there, the grime. So now I've got it just loose in there, and this is still sliding up. That's really good. That's not that part. So the next thing I'm going to do is relocate my ratchet wherever. Oh, there it is. And I'm going to tighten that up. Now there's no spec that I have that tells me what the torque is. Just about everything you tighten up on this Sawmill, basically there's a spec for it in the manual for all when you do assemble it for each bolt, but I don't have that in the manual for these, so just use common sense and tighten it up, but don't over tighten. I'm just going to put them snug. I don't see any reason for them to be super snug. Now the one thing, remember, if you're using a long wrench like this, you have a lot more leverage, and with more leverage you don't have to tighten as much because or pull the wrench as hard because of the leverage, it will do a lot more tightening. Now if my wrench was short right here, it'd be a lot harder to tighten it. Then I would give it a little bit more force. So anyways, we'll get this tightened up. There's two of them. I'm just doing cross pattern here. That's just habit from doing so many different things. A lot of things have cross patterns. There's no rhyme or reason other than that. You probably could just go any pattern that you want. So then we'll get the last one. So now my thinking is basically, this is, whoa, that actually got really tight. There we go. Maybe it is this part. Let me just fool around here a little bit. Maybe the tension got too tight on this guy. It's going to loosen that up a bit. Or maybe it's just the way I was pushing it, because it is sliding actually fairly easy. See, what I'm doing is I'm pushing it here on the piece that's jetted out. I'm pushing pretty hard, but it's because of the angle, I'm kind of forcing it inward. But if I just go here in the back of it, it slides nice and easy. So let's retighten it. So again, guys, this is all about learning on the job, if you want to say. That's what experience is all about. Just get out there and do it. If you're not sure, just do it. Give it a try. Don't be shy. You're going to learn a lot, and then whatever you learn from this here, you can apply to something else, and first thing you know, you're not too bad of a mechanic or a guy that can fix things. So anyways, that's still, now I notice again, it does affect it with the tension, so got to go back. I'm learning some more. So I'm just going to loosen it a bit. So there we go, just loosen that. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to put the tensioner, the washers back in and insert it, and then I'm going to try it again once this is moving nice and free. There we go. So that seems to be really good. So I'm going to put the wheel back on first, wherever I put it. So there's my wheel. And yes, the as you see here, the belt is supposed to be loose like that. The old belt for these were nice and tight against. There was no gap. The new belts, for whatever reason, they redesigned them to have a gap. So put the wheel back on, and then we'll give it another test. Now here I definitely don't know what the tension is. The tension for it might be in the book for this one. It's got to make sure I get the right bolt. It was the 1/2 inch and a washer, I believe. Now if it wasn't the 1/2 inch and the washer, nice thing about videotaping or recording, I guess videotaping is an old term. We don't videotape anymore. It's all digital. Old school, eh? So anyways, I could always go back to what I recorded and check the procedure, what I did when I removed the thing to reverse. Oh, I got the wrong socket. That's the 5/8. And then just, as I was mentioning, fix it the way I in reverse order. So I'm just going to tighten it somewhat. Now I don't want to over tighten it. I want to make sure it rolls nice. I want to make sure it doesn't wobble. Got a little bit of wobble in there, but that might be because I don't have it quite tensioned on the back there. But that seems to be pretty good. I want to make sure it slides back and forth, and it does. Before I was not able to move it, so I'm going to put it here. Now I'm going to put the tensioner back on. And it should be fun because the washers could easily slip out on me here. So I'm going to make sure you insert it properly. If you come on my other side here, guys, it's a little easier for me to put this back on. We're just going to slide it and make sure we're going through the center of each washer in there. I think there's about, if I'm not mistaken, whoop, look at that, I got it backwards. How do you like that? I think there's about 24 washers, if I do recall. 24 washers in there, and they're facing opposite way to one another to create that spring action. So we're going to put this here. Now if this isn't going to work, my tensioner, then my next step will be call Woodland Mills and get new washers, because there's nothing I can do other than get new washers. Now something I made a mistake here is that I should have brought my nut bolt over here rather. I should have picked it up. I should have brought it with me when I came over here so I don't have to bend down and just about drop this here. Oh no, this doesn't go there. This goes on the top. Okay, I got to take my glove off because this requires a little bit more precision to get this in here. So we'll put this in here. Just thread it in quickly, just loose for now. And I want to make sure I don't drop this because I want to put the handle back on. I got some dirt on there, so I don't. You can see here basically it's just a threaded handle, and I'm gonna have to push somehow. I don't think I've got something lined up here. Might have to make an adjustment here because this is not quite going on far enough. Nice. Well, I'm gonna have to take this off because something's not going on proper. So guys, basically I'm showing this in all real time. There's no editing on this video. I'm just trying to make it as realistic as possible. I'm not quite sure why it's not going all the way in, but it's my washers that, for whatever reason, I guess the spring action has got them out. I don't see anything. If you look in here, this doesn't insert anymore. It just sits on the shaft here, the threaded shaft. And that should screw in there, but I got to get it far enough in so I can get it threaded. Let's put this piece back just to hold it, and put the washer first, just to hold it into place here. I don't need it dropping, falling out while I'm working on it. This is something I didn't expect, was this to be a bit of an issue here. You can see the washers. I'll just show you one of the washers. It's kind of hard. Well, you can see one here. You can see how they're opposite to one another. And for whatever reason, there's enough tension there. Unless I've got to move my wheel in. Maybe that's probably the secret. Let's try that out. So I'm going to push the wheel here. I'm going to push it, or pull it actually, because it's the furthest away right now. I'm going to pull it towards me. There we go. Look at this, guys. Okay. That was the trick. So as I told you, I'm learning this as I go. So this is why you want to try stuff. Now I'm going to push the wheel back in. Watch what happens. You can see all the threaded shafts sticking out. I'm pushing the wheel towards the other side, towards the follower. Now I'm back out. There we go. Now I've got enough threaded shaft sticking out. No problem to put the handle on. And one thing I do, one thing I didn't want to do was get full of sawdust in there. But one thing I do like learning. And I say the only way to learn is to try and try again. You'll make some mistakes. As you've seen, I made a couple already, or well, maybe more than a couple. But now we'll come here to the front. What I'm going to do is I can put, now I've got tension there. I can't move that wheel forward. So what I'm going to do is just back it off a little bit. I think it might be my springs in there. So I'm just looking inside here to see if I can. I still have a problem somehow. I can't move my wheel far enough in to get the blade on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off here a little bit, and I'm going to push it in just a little bit so I don't have as much tension on it. Okay, so now this is in more. I'm going to try the blade again. I'm going to put my gloves on. We'll see here. Once I get the gloves on, get the blade on, won't cut my fingers. I've got enough bruises, cuts, and scrapes from doing this kind of stuff or other physical labor all the time. I'm sure a lot of you guys experience that as well. No matter how much protective gear you wear, you're always going to get a bump or scrape or a cut if you do things. If you don't do anything, well, then you don't get these problems as much. So anyways, guys, we can try and get the blade down a little bit. You can see I still need to come in more because I still can't get that blade on. Just gotta try and get it here squared up because it's going a little too far on me. There we go. It's just about there though. Now you can see how much more, like it wouldn't even reach on anywhere near on the top, and now it's just about there. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of undoing here. It's going to do it just a little bit so I can push it just a little bit more, and hopefully that will be the trick to get that on there. So what I'm suspecting is that the washers on that tensioner have worn out. There, I got my blade on. Now I just need to adjust it in a sense that it's sitting proper on both wheels. Got that. So this is basically because of this problem. As I mentioned, I was doing another video, and now this has become my video. And then once I have this 100% that it's working again properly, then I can continue with the video that I was doing. So not too bad when you can get a video out of a video. So that looks all good. So the next thing to do is to tension it up. So the whole idea with this one here, it doesn't use like a 25 pound or a certain number of pounds of tension. This one here, you just crank it until this becomes flush with the piece that it's going into. So we just keep cranking it. So we'll go right about there. Now that's my tension. Now I want to check basically to make sure that my blade is going to, from the drive wheel to the follower wheel, that it's actually going to rotate and stay on both wheels properly. So check my tension there. That's really weird. like I say, I changed the belts, and it's really weird to see this here, how the belt is sloppy. The other belt here that I changed here just kind of rides inside, but this one rides, the blade rides here on the outside here. What I meant by when riding inside here, it's nice and tight all the way, but this one here is really loose. The belt that was on here before was no, it would have been like this. It would have been nice and tight. Anyways, so that looks pretty good. I can see here as I'm rotating it, it's staying on nicely, so my my band won't fall off of the wheels. So now the next thing to test to make sure is that here I have the tension on. Now what happens if I take the tension off? I'm going to loosen it up. So then I'm going to come back here, and I should have a little, I should have less tension. Like that blade is stuck on there. I basically backed it right off. You can see here, I backed it right off. It's loose as it can go. So guys, basically that's my video on troubleshooting. My sawmill here, it would be very similar to other problems that I haven't experienced yet. This here, as I backed the tension right off. It's quite loose. The blade is still on there fairly tight. I can't quite get it off. It's on too tight, so I'm going to have to play around with it again to loosen it. As I mentioned, I think it's the washers. So my next task is to call Woodland Mills and talk to them about the problem here. Now that I've got a good understanding of what's going on. The other thing too is that's not sliding, and it should slide. So that is a big problem. So, and I suspect again it's because of the washers are locking everything too tight in there. So for those of you that have experienced this problem, if you came about it, if there was an easy solution for you, let me know. Or even if you haven't, if you had some ideas that something I could have done better, let me know. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Gelling Outdoors. Better?